You're sick of terrain looking a bit like this, and really miss when it looked just like this. Well, let's fix that. So I'm going to try and make some more ash waste terrain from my ash waste board. You get some lovely sounds, some clicky sounds. And this is the stuff I'm going to build out of. Just stuff you find lying around. We've got some straws, popsicle sticks, a bit of EVA foam, a bit of mesh from the old barbecue thing that I used last video, and some wet wipes. Oh, and this thing. It's important, trust me. So to get started, I just want to build. I looked at the ash waste stuff, the ash waste terrain that Games Workshop produced, and I really quite liked the idea of it, but I didn't like how enclosed it was. I didn't think it would suit Necromunda too well. So I thought, I'll tell you what, let's make our own. So first off, as a base. I don't want to stick it on a base, I want it to be freestanding. So I'm just thinking how to make a tall, cylindrical building stable. And I came up with this. I just glued some half cardboard tubes onto this bit of card here that I've got. I've got a bit of foam there, but you can use... Honestly, I regretted using the foam because it melted like crazy. So don't use foam for this. Use something else, like a thick piece of cardboard, like a big bit of corrugate would be brilliant, or some plastic, or anything you can find. You got some bottle lids, cut them in half, and then make uniform caps for those 4 uniform stanchions. And then I can make some details out of EVA foam. This stuff's so cheap, and it holds detail really well. So just grab yourself some. They're very basic details, just sticking things on. Rough and ready, but we're going to make it look a bit nicer. That's nice and stable, that's what I really want. You don't want your terrain toppling over mid-game. So we're going to use my favourite thing to make stuff out of is corrugated cardboard. I love corrugated cardboard, it's so good. Just tin roofs, metal details, you can glue it, you can spray it, you can dry brush it, you can stick sand to it. It's cheap. You can get it anywhere. It's great. I love corrugated card. Did I mention I quite like corrugated card? It takes any kind of glue as well. Doesn't matter what glue you've got. You can glue with it. Oh, it's just great. It's brilliant. Anyway, enough of that. Getting overexcited. Stop it. Stop it. So now we've got the base finished and some details on. And this little bit I told you was important. Look, fits right on the top there. What a brilliant fit. It was totally dumb luck. I got that from like a little pinball game and the pipes from the DIY shop. So then I got this like rectangle. It's not a rectangle. It's a pentagon, hexagon. There we go. Those Latin lessons paying off there. And I wanted roughly hexagonal buildings. I think it's hexagon. Not sure. Comment below. But anyway, to make sure I had a relatively uniform size on a couple of these I'm going to make, I just printed this out. It's just a big hexagon. And I used that as a guide. And then I just marked out where I was going to cut them. Snip them off. You could be careful and snip them with knives and saws, but snips do most things pretty well. And then you glue them all together. It's really easy, and you can't really get it wrong unless you ping a piece of wood into the abyss like I did there. There it goes. Wait for it. Wait for it. Oh. That was anticlimactic. Sorry, I lied to you. Anyway, back to technical bits. So once you cut them all down and glued them over the top of each other, you should have a pretty secure surface. You can glue that onto your wire of choice. You could use metal chicken wire for this, but I wouldn't because it's really sharp and it'll mess your hands up. This is the same barbecue wire I used in the last build I made. It's really cheap. It's about €1.50 a sheet, and the sheet's about 30 centimetres by 30 centimetres. I don't actually know what it would be useful for on a barbecue because it's plastic, it's going to melt. You can just cut it with a craft knife, but it's apparently a barbecue grill. In the summer I grab like 20 sheets of this stuff because it's bendable, it's plastic and it hasn't got sharp edges. It's great. So you can find anything like that, do it. And again, it takes any kind of glue. So we've got hot glue and just hot gluing that onto there, nice and secure. And actually, when it's dried, it's pretty sturdy. As long as you lay your popsicle sticks over one another in interlocking pattern. But anyway, now we've got to figure out what we're going to do with the bottom of it. So we've got this pipe bit here. And we've got to make a way to solidify the bottom, make it not fall off and be insecure and wobbly. So yeah, we're just going to stick some more popsicle sticks on. I really wanted to cut this neatly and have like keep some of the sides together, but quite often when you cut plastic with snips, it just snaps. This is the time when you really should use a saw and not use your snips. Snips are not great on plastic, as you can see there's a big crack down it, but it doesn't matter. Glue fixes everything, right? Let's find out. There we go, yeah, there we are, EVA foam. Look at that, that was a happy little accident. I love Bob Ross and things. So we Bob Ross this guy, and then we get back to gluing our popsicle sticks on as a sort of support. I cut two of them at 45 degrees. I'd get a cutting jig, they cost you a few quid, and they save you so much hassle. And when you've got them at a 45 degree angle, you just shove the last one on top at a straight angle. Straight angle? That'd be 180, that's not 180. That's going to be what, 170? I'm really bad at math. I've got GCSE math, so that was about it. And then you just glue it in. Now if you're clever, you've got like a little dip for the bigger top stick to go into, like I have. Look at that. I'd love to say that was intentional, but it wasn't. I broke the bit of plastic and it just happened to be exactly the right size. So, another happy little accident. Sometimes you just got to take the wins, you know? You just glue that right on there, whichever way around you want it and whatever orientation you want it. I've chosen to lock the mesh in between the wood. I think it looks better, but you can do whatever you want. It's your building, go for it. And obviously, when you're finished, you've got to snip those little end bits off. That's not hard. Get the snips out again. You're going to be covered in hot glue. As you can see, there's hot glue all over this build, but that's really easy to fix. I like using hot glue. It's fast, it glues pretty well. If I need anything really strong, I use white glue, but quite often hot glue is the way for me. And I wanted to put like a little canopy on top. Just having a platform is fine, but I want to make it a bit more interesting. So we're going to build up. We're going to make another layer of building. Just using a bunch of EVA foam just to make it interesting. You add little textures, little details. EVA foam takes texture really well, so if you want like a few stony bits on anything, obviously not on your sci-fi stuff unless you're doing like a temple, but any bits of your rough plastic, it takes texture really well. EVA foam is just brilliant and it's really cheap, so if you make mistakes it doesn't really matter because you just tear it off. And it also takes super glue really well. If you stick super glue to this stuff, it will glue literally anything. Your hands, your face, miniatures, metals, plastics, wood, it doesn't care. But once you've got super glue on it, you cannot take those things apart. It will just melt solid. So yeah, EVA glue, EVA foam and super glue, really, really good bonds, but very permanent. So be careful. Now, no build's complete without a couple of fun straws, but these were kind of crap. I wanted to use these straws just for little bits of supports to make the whole thing a bit stronger. And the more I looked at them, the more I was like, well, they're flimsy, they're paper. What I need is something plastic. Thankfully, I've got plastic straws. I got these like plastic reusable straws from the junk shop. They're about, again, 50p a pack, and you get about 6 in a pack. They're glittery, so you know, obviously they're a winner for the Grim Darkness of the Far Future. Let's snip them down, and then I'd say I glue them in, but I just ram them in the pipe and then lob a load of glue down there. There might be a better way of doing this, but that works for me. I get less glue on my hands, and less third degree burns is nice, because I burn myself like 8 or 9 times a project. I haven't got a variable heat glue gun. I'd like one. Maybe if I reach 1,000 subs, I can actually afford to buy a variable heat glue gun and not burn myself so much. But at the moment, I can't afford that, so I just burn myself a lot with my incredibly hot glue gun. But it does the job. And also, when I make mistakes, it's pretty easy to fix it because the glue's hot for about a week and a half. Anyway, enough whinging about that. Now these little hollow tubes are going to be really useful very, very soon for making the build a bit more interesting. But we need a few more tiny tubes first. So let's cut them out. Cut them all out. Really detailed, fine, precise measurements, as you can tell. I don't do precise measurements, I just cut things, can you tell? And now I'm going to use the little crappy cardboard bits, because these bits aren't as important. You'll see why later. Unless you saw a thumbnail, in which case you know what this looks like, and you know what I'm doing. So the plan for these, I'm going to put like tent poles in them. And I wanted them to be loose like this because I want to actually take the tent bits out. I don't want them to be in all the time because that's going to make storing them an absolute nightmare. But if I make 5 or 6 of these without the tents in the tops, then I can just store them on top of each other really easily. But I want some cover. I don't want just tents over there because that's not going to provide much cover against a lasgun or a bolt round. So we're going back to my favourite material. Got corrugated card, bits of wood, some offcuts of the mesh stuff. It doesn't matter what you use. You can use whatever you want. I made like 3 different ones. And just have some sort of, roughly 3/4 of an inch, 1.5 cm, 15mm high, like little barricades. Honestly, doesn't matter what size you have them. It depends on what you want them to do. If you want them to be in total cover, you want them to be, like that much. And if you want half cover, you want less. It's up to you what you want on your bit of terrain, what you can use it for. I try and think about it in a game point of view. I try and think about how I'm gonna use this piece of terrain in my game. What tactical advantage will it give? Will anyone actually bother climbing up on it? Because climbing is always a bit of a risk. There's got to be some sort of reward, isn't there? So, but anyway, enough of that. Remember, corrugated cardboard, if you get the good stuff, is double-sided. You can have twice as much beautiful texture with a little bit of hard work. And when I say hard work, I do mean ripping cardboard off other cardboard. You're not doing reps of 120 kilos on the bench here. You can manage this. I believe in you. Alright. Or you can totally mess it up. Whichever one. Idiot. Anyway, yeah, done. Clear up as you go. That's another one of my top tips. If we do a top tips video, tidy as you go, because else you get a massive mess and it's all horrible and awful. And then we're back to good old faithful hot glue. You just slap it in. Here it goes. If you've cut straight lines, it'll be perfect. If you haven't cut straight lines, it won't be perfect. But it's a good quote from me. Perfection is the death of the good, the death of joy. Good enough. We'll go with good enough. We like good enough. There you go, it's all symmetrical, it's all easy, it's all very detailed and textured. And you put a little dude in there and he looks quite happy. I'm pretty sure no one's going to shoot him in the legs. Not in the face, yeah, for sure, but that's his problem. And if you pop them together, there we go. Look at that, that's a nice little bit of terrain there. Spin it around if you want to. You can throw your miniatures from great heights and they can skitter into the abyss, but, or just play war games on it. There's another one I made. It's a bit different. It's got some more straight lines on it. But you can make loads. Anyway, onto the tents and stuff. Now, this was I saw a load of guys on YouTube doing this with barricades and crates and stuff. So I thought, well, we can make tent fabric out of this, no problem. So it's just the cheapest cleaning wipes you can get. water-based or alcohol-based, I don't think it really matters. Although I did try and weather one with fire, and if you've got alcohol-based wipes, even after you've painted them, just don't do that, because yeah, they catch fire like really badly. That was the 9th burn of the video. There's no footage of that though, because I was busy panicking trying to put myself out. Anyway, so I cut these into like rough triangle shapes. Like, it doesn't be too precise about it, because you're going to trim them down later anyway. So I dump a load of glue into a pot. I dump a load of neutrally coloured paint into a pot. This is cheap green acrylic. And then I stir a bit of water in. You want it to be quite wet, but you want the glue to really soak in the stuff. Then you shove them in. Give them a good whirl around. Get them in a nice coated painty green mixture. You haven't got to put the paint in, but I don't see why you wouldn't. It's it's cheap free undercoat. Like, just do it, and it permeates the entire piece of fabric, so it makes sure you've undercoat properly. Now for this bit, you can use whatever you want. You could use plastic sticks, but I've used bamboo sticks because they've got a spiky top, and that makes it easier to stab them through the baby wipe canvas material I've just made. So while they're sort of going off and drying a bit, you want to start doing this. I've gone for 3 in the middle and then 6 on the outside, so I can have 3 tent canopies, but you can do as many as you want. You could do 1 on one side. They're all removable. Don't glue these in. You just want them loose, because then you can just take these canopies out. It makes the whole terrain piece easier to paint. It makes it way easier to store. It means you haven't got to have the tent canopies if you want to use these not on an ash waste board, but on a Hive World board or a Mechanite World. You can use them wherever you want. You haven't got a base on them, so you can make them multi-use. I like multi-use terrain. Yeah, when you get your rough triangle shape, you shove them through, and there you go. They'll take a little while to dry. If you've got a sunny day, they'll dry much faster. Or if you've got a hot heat gun, or a hairdryer. But you want to probably cut those little wiggly bits off. Or you can keep them on. It's up to you. It doesn't really matter. And once it's dried, they are rock hard. They don't move anywhere. You have to really hoof glue in there. But they do dry really, really hard. But they're not fragile. They won't snap. Unless you'd crunch them with both fists. But they're pretty good. They stand on their own. They've kept their form. I wouldn't want to put weight on them, but they're okay. I like them. And they look like canvas. So instead of having a horrible plastic bit of canvas, you've now got a bit of canvas as canvas. But that bit's quite spiky, so we're going to fix it with a glue gun. And probably a bead. I haven't done anything with beads for ages, so we'll probably put a bead on top. Again, you haven't got to do this. You could just literally stick a lump of hot glue on the top and it'd be fine. But it's time where I ask you to subscribe, please. Then I can buy a glue gun that won't burn me. Yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. I don't like begging for subscriptions that much. But I would like you to subscribe, because, I just like sharing my channel and my art with people. So yeah. Tell your friends that I burn myself on camera and make terrain. Anyway, painting. Painting time. So, I start with brown. Brown is good. Especially on rusty minging things. And I press paint the whole thing in brown. Give it a good brown coating. Again, this is cheap acrylic. If you've got an airbrush, if you're fancy, you can use that. But I haven't got my airbrush at the moment. I tend to stipple in quite a lot of orange for rust. And I'm really heavy with it. One, because it's cheap acrylic paint and the coverage is absolute garbage. And 2, because if you're quite heavy with it and let it dry, it does give you some instant interesting textures, so it's quite nice. The one paint colour I don't cheap out on is the metallics. For some reason, I have never found a good cheap metallic paint. I just can't find one with the pigments that actually cover things properly. So if you've got a good cheap acrylic metallic paint source, let me know in the comments, because I can never find one. And luckily I dry brush pretty much everything, so it doesn't take an awful lot of paint, but still, I'd like to find a cheaper version than using Army Painter's fantastic products on what is essentially rubbish. Made from rubbish is actually rubbish. But anyway, back to what I'm doing. Here what I'm doing is I've got some sand and I've coated the miniature terrain piece in water. I've lobbed a load of sand on it, and then I'm painting it the blue colour. Same blue colour I will paint most of my buildings for this board, because one, it contrasts really nicely with the ashy orangey colours, and two, I quite like this petrol blue. I've got loads of it and I want to get rid of it. But anyway, coating all the bits of sand, and then you get a brush when it's all dry and just brush the sand off, and you keep the texture underneath while still having quite a lot of the blue colour. So it's a nice way of doing rust. Saw another guy doing this on YouTube. A lot of people use salt or other things, but here we go. I think these look really nice. On the board we made last time, I've got a couple of different variations. They fit really well into any 28mm game. I've just chucked some miniatures at handy, some Dark Eldar and some Plague Marines. And you haven't even got to do the sides, you could just have a little walkwayless top bit. There we go. I really like these. They're really quick, they're basically free, and they look really cool. So have a go yourself. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next really cheap Ash Waste build.